चलो सीखें एक नया हुनर और चलें काम पर स्किल इंडिया के साथ, जिसकी पहल हो चुकी है प्रधानमंत्री कौशल विकास योजना से। कौशल भारत, कुशल भारत।
Hi, this is laboratory equipment. You need to know the proper names and functions of all these pieces of equipment. Let's start. This is a Bunsen burner. It uses methane gas from our gas lines to produce a flame which we can use to heat things. This is a ring stand. This is an example of a ring stand. It's not very good, but there are two poles there, one on either side of the faucet. They are used to support apparatus to support glassware. This is test tubes. We use this to mix liquids and solids and to prevent splattering, and we can observe reactions through them. These test tubes are not as clean as they should be, but possibly we should use a test tube brush to clean them in the future. This is a ring on a ring stand. It's used to support glassware when we're heating it over a Bunsen burner. These are beakers. They're used to hold solids or liquids so we can observe them. We can perform chemical reactions in them. The splattering and splashing can occur with these open containers. These are graduated cylinders, or also known as graduates. Notice they come in different sizes and different volumes, and thus the increments are varying depending on the precision you would like to have on measuring these volumes of liquids. It depends on the size you would use. These are Erlenmeyer flasks. They also come in varying sizes. The purpose of an Erlenmeyer flask is to prevent splattering when you're observing chemical reactions with solids and liquids, or liquids and liquids. This is a universal clamp. It's attached to a ring stand. It supports glassware such as test tubes or Erlenmeyer flasks during chemical reactions or while you're heating them. This is an evaporating dish. It's used to heat solids or liquids. You can also evaporate water or liquids off of a reaction by leaving it open to the air. This is a file. We use this in our penny lab to notch our pennies, or we can also use it to notch many different types of metals. It's also used to score glass so it can easily be broken. This is a burette. It's used for measuring volumes of liquids, especially during acid-base chemistry. This is a wire gauze. It's used to provide support on a ring stand, or it's used for support on a Bunsen burner, or we can also place it on the surface of the lab desk. This material allows the heat energy to be dispersed evenly across the bottom of a piece of glassware. This is a funnel. It allows us to transfer liquids from one container to another. It also allows us to filter solids from liquids with the aid of filter paper inside it. These are crucible tongs. This is used to manipulate crucibles and the crucible lid. It can also be used to hold small metal objects when we're heating them. Above the crucible tongs is the actual crucible and its lid. Crucibles are used to heat metals or materials to extremely high temperatures. We cannot tell that this object is hot, so remember, when you're using this, use the back of your hand to detect the amount of heat that it's giving off. Notice that the crucible tongs are shaped to fit around the crucible, and the lid, you can't see it from this picture, but there is an actual lip on the top of it where you can, or like a little handle where you can pick it up and manipulate it. This is a test tube holder. Notice it's used to hold a test tube. We especially use this when we're heating test tubes. This is watch glass. We can place our solid product materials on this to observe them at the end of a reaction. We can also use this to prevent splatterings. We place it on top of a beaker or on top of a evaporating dish to observe the reaction that's going on within without being splattered. This is a dropper, or it's also known as a pipette. You can use this to measure volumes or use it to transfer liquids from one container to another. But you can also, if you hold it perpendicular to the countertop or to the beaker that you're adding it to or whatever container, if you hold it perpendicular, you're going to get accurate and consistently sized drops. And if, for example, if you use water, about 20 drops is equivalent to a milliliter. This is a test tube rack. Notice it's wooden, so when you place hot test tubes in it, it will not burn, hopefully. If you use a plastic test tube rack, be aware that they can melt if you place hot test tubes on them. This test tube rack also helps us organize our test tubes so we can make careful observations of them during a lab. This is a forcep. It's used to pick up small solid objects. In laboratory, please do not use your fingers to handle materials. This is a scoopula or a spatula. It's used for scooping or distributing solid materials from the stock containers to your containers. Once again, don't distribute things with your fingers. This is a wash bottle. It has distilled water in it. It's used for washing glass containers to make sure we have all the solid material washed off the side of the beakers. We can also wash solid materials and rinse them and be sure that the reaction is complete. This is a Florence flask. It has a flat bottom. It's used for mixing solutions or mixing liquids, and it has a long skinny neck which prevents splattering or splashing. This is a gas collection tube. It's used for collecting gas by water displacement. This is a pneumatic trough. We use this in the aid of help us collect gas by water displacement. It's also used for making ice baths or hot water baths. Ice baths will slow down a chemical reaction. Hot water baths will accelerate reactions. This is a wing top. We place it on top of the Bunsen burner to concentrate the flame for when we're working with glass or if we're working with metals that have to reach extremely high temperatures. This is a clay triangle. It's used to help support the crucible on the ring stand. This is a beaker tongue. It's used to move hot beakers. This is a glass rod. It's used to stir solids and liquids or materials. It's used to poke things in place of your fingers. Do not use your fingers in the lab to touch things. 30. This is a digital scale. This is what we use in class to measure the amounts of solids or liquids. This is a hot plate. It's another form of heat energy that's distributed to our reactions through a ceramic top. This one also has the stir function on it. On the left dial will be our stirrer. There's a magnet underneath this ceramic plate that spins. If you place a magnet inside your solution, it will spin the opposite direction, which helps agitate the materials inside the container. This is the glass thermometer. It's used to help find temperature of objects or substances. This is a burette clamp. It helps hold the burette on a ring stand. This is a test tube brush. We use this to clean those test tubes after our reactions are completed. And finally, these are rubber stoppers or a cork. The picture to the far right, that's a cork. The picture in the middle, this is a rubber stopper with no holes in it. It's solid. These two help prevent materials from leaking from containers. The third one to the left has 2 holes in it. We can place thermometers in those holes, or we could place glass tubing. The idea is we're letting the container vent and allow materials to pass out of it through those holes. Or we can put a thermometer in there, and there's a technique to do this. I do not recommend students doing this, but you use glycerin on both the rubber stopper and the glass that you're manipulating to put through this hole to get it to slide through. You have to lubricate it very well. Make sure you're wearing gloves while you're doing this and handling it with lots of paper towels. Thank you.